Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Do You Make Music, brought to you by the Daily Collegian. I'm your host, Aiden Mateo Harold, and today I'm here with the Moonshifters. Say hi, everyone.
Yes, sir. Hey,
What's
what's
up?
up? Hello. What is good?
Good to have y'all on. How we doing tonight?
Doing great.
Well,
dandy.
Good.
awesome.
That's where all sorts of answers.
Nice. Well, let's get the cast list here, right? Let's roll down. So any order y'all want to, but give me your names and your instruments, please.
I'm Hannah, and I sing.
I'm Alex. I play bass.
I'm Greg. I'm the drummer.
I'm Max. I play guitar.
I'm Adam. I play guitar.
Nice. And so how did you guys all meet each other? Or, well, how did the band get its start, I suppose?
It's actually kind of a weird, long story. So, the original version of the band started in 2019. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It actually originally had me on bass. It was Hannah on vocals. Mm-hmm. So we kind of like kept the band going somewhat. Not really, but anyway.
We had a rotating cast of characters.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And then COVID hit.
And COVID hit. Yeah. So, yeah, we were kind of like overall we just struggled a lot to find band members that could make it and could make it happen and wanted to and were interested in it. So ultimately, it just kind of led to where we are now with the crew that we're playing with.
Which Adam we added last summer, right?
Yeah, one faithful summer day, I was buying strings at Music Mart. I saw a flyer. It said needed a guitar player, and I saw it and I was like, "There's no way that I'm gonna do this." And then like 2 days later, I kept thinking about it, and then I went back and texted the number, and then the
rest is
haven't
history.
stopped.
So,
I joined last winter. I was a freshman, but Alex kind of took me under his wing, played some music with him. Then I joined the band and been loving it ever since.
hell yeah, my friend.
And then our newest member, Greg.
Yes,
Greg is here. Funny story, I was actually living in a cardboard box outside Mini Mart, and Alex found me and was like, "Hey man, you look like you could be a drummer." I'm kidding. I'm a joker. No,
Hidden trash can.
real stuff though. I met Alex through the jazz program here, and I'm blessed to have met Alex. He's given me so many great opportunities, and I'm so thankful to be in this band with you guys. So
Yeah.
I'm just a proud soul to be here.
We love you, Greg.
I am curious really quickly, though, from all the other bands that I've talked to, from what I've heard anyway, being a drummer is, you kind of get asked out a lot by local bands.
Oh yeah. By women? I don't know.
No, by bands. Sorry.
You cannot attest to that.
I was trying to make an analogy about being the belle of the ball, and it fell flat because, of course, it did. But, yeah, I'm curious, though, because from what I've heard, drummers tend to be in high demand. Have you received any other offers? Or?
Yeah, I, as faithful as I am to all these guys here, I do try to get around and play with as many people as I can. I play with a couple other groups in State College. I sing a little bit too. I'm still trying to find my voice. But I'm under the assumption that a good drummer really does make a band. You know, you got to be able to hold time and you got to be able to do your job. My saying is, groove pays the bills, chops don't. So sometimes I get a little carried away and I got to remember my role, but I like to have fun while I do it. So.
Nice. And speaking of other bands, of course, Alex, this isn't your first time
That is correct.
talking to me, because I interviewed you while you were with Canary.
Yes,
in
sir. Yeah.
2021.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's been a while, man.
Was that sort of a side project for you in between the phase of the Moonshifters?
Yeah, actually, no. It was kind of so I've kind of had throughout these. So since I started my undergrad, I've been with a few different bands. The Moonshifters V1 per se was definitely the first project that I tried to get together. Then obviously COVID and whatever. But I've had main projects that I tend to focus on at one time. Canary was definitely one of them from 2021. Then I started playing with this other band called Sidewinder, whose fame is growing a little bit, at least here in town. So. Yeah, that's definitely been kind of 2022 mostly. But right now, yeah, I'm just kind of focusing on this group and trying to get it ahead.
Nice. And really quickly, before we go on some of our other tangents, I'm curious about how did you guys come to the name Moonshifters for the band? Was that the first idea, or did you have to workshop around a little bit for it?
No, it was not the first idea. I think Alex and I, over FaceTime for a week, when I went home for a summer and he stayed here, over FaceTime debated every single possible option.
It's all right.
Good whole environment of sound
They
here.
got a 1930s elevator over there. You gotta have a bellboy. I'm
Anyways,
sorry.
No, you're fine. So we debated over and over and over. We had something, we didn't. We had something, we hated it. And finally, we were like, what about moon shift? And I was like, I don't know. That doesn't really... This is moon shift. Like, it just didn't feel like it was a group. And so I was like, what about the moon shifters? And Alex said, okay, it's fine. And then he really liked it the next day. And the fact that he liked it the next day told me that it was a winner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
For sure.
So then, going back to it, right? What were kind of the first? What were sort of the first practices and the first performance like for the band?
So, this is actually one of the only lineups that's actually performed per se. The V1 never really got there. One of our actually our drummer from back then ended up joining a local band that's pretty big called My Hero Zero.
Yeah,
So
and good for
he's
him.
he's jamming away with them.
We missed him, but
We
he
missed him,
made
yeah.
the right call.
Oh, and the guitarist was actually the leader of Canary too, Zach.
Oh, Zach,
So yeah,
nice.
it was a very local group. But yeah, actually, so the first lineup that we played with was Hannah, Adam, Sal, and myself. Sal was our previous drummer.
Gotcha.
And yeah, the first performance we did was actually over at the frat house at APX. And Adam was kind of responsible for putting that together.
And thank God for
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was a great way to kind of start practicing more or live performing rather than always just in the practice room shedding, whatever it is. But yeah, I think especially, I've actually done this for quite a while now, especially gigging, but I know that for them it was kind of a newer experience. So I think it was the perfect place to just get them up to speed with a lot of, live performance scenarios.
Yeah.
Adam can attest to it with beer falling all over his gear.
Oh,
Yeah, it was definitely fun. It almost got out of control fun, but it was good to get in front of a crowd that had a lot of energy, especially for your first gig. I think that helps a lot. It's not like you're trying to force something to happen. Everyone was there to have fun, so it went pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of allowed us to play our first actual gig.
That's right,
which is
yeah.
Doggies,
So
not too
yeah,
far
we
after.
played Doggies. We did a few. It was a slightly different lineup for the summer since these guys weren't here, but we did a few shows over at the first too. So we were kind of getting around. Yeah, we're starting to build it up a little more for sure.
What was what were kind of the key lessons you took away from those first few performances?
oh.
I'd love to hear their perspective, and then we can all give. I mean, you want to
Yeah.
start?
So something that I learned is that I had to learn how to talk to the crowd. I knew I could entertain. I knew I could sing, but learning to talk to and this is, and I'm sure all you guys are rolling your eyes because I'm chatty Cathy, but I get up there and I'm kind of dad jokes, and that doesn't cut it all the time. You have to have real thoughts that are light and still entertaining. And so that was something that I had to work on for sure. And the first few gigs make it brilliantly obvious. But I also really liked our first Doggies gig because we had Adam, Sal, and I, and Alex. And I remember that being our first bar gig. And I was like, okay, this is a pretty big crowd for a first bar gig. And I was a little worried about our set list because I was like, it's kind of early in the night. And then we got to the end of the night, everyone was having a blast. And then they were like, one more song. And I was like, we don't have one more song. And then we were like, but wait, we do. And it was Love Story. And it was a lot of dudes. And I was all the way at the end before the bridge. He knelt to the ground and pulled out a ring and said, and all of the frat boys just knelt to the ground right in front of me. And I was like, oh, this is crowd interaction. This is what it's supposed to be like. So that moment, I've kind of remembered that feeling, that energy, and that's what I try and bring to every show now.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, Adam.
I mean, yeah.
I'm directing it like I'm teaching.
Okay.
No, but contrary to Alex, I had not been doing this for a while, and that was my first time playing in front of a large group of people. I mean, besides like the APX gig we had done before. But yeah, there's a lot more going on, and there's a lot less room for like stopping communication and like understanding how to like, you're gonna need to be able to like communicate non-verbally with the rest of the band and like understand and like communicate like ideas or whatever. You need to be able to say like whatever you want without actually saying it, because you can't really hear each other on a stage with guitar amps and drums. So learning that was like a big change.
So you guys like have a lot of nonverbal cues you use now?
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of like something you can't really practice. It just like happens over time and spending time together. And to Greg's testament, he's been able to pick up on that stuff really well. And like that's gone really smoothly since him joining. So I'm happy about that.
I kind of grew up playing like rock gigs, not really like bar gigs or local gigs. It was for I did a program called School of Rock growing up, and here I do jazz and classical, so it's so much different than the gigs we play with the band. So I kind of had to learn how to let go a little bit. Like I get really in my head and get a lot of stage fright, and it's hard to just sometimes let go and have fun. So I found more ways to do that. Like I'll do little guitar tricks. I'll like play behind my back or something like that. I don't know, the little things. Just it's definitely a different scene from what I grew up doing, but it's been so much fun so far.
Awesome. I'm definitely the newer man in the group. I've played 4 gigs with these guys now, and I feel like definitely our first gig at APX was really good. I feel like we all gelled really well together, and I feel like definitely my first time playing with these guys, it made me feel right at home. And to the non-verbal communication thing, like Adam said, it definitely doesn't necessarily come with ease for all people. It can definitely be difficult to pick up on, but something that I definitely pride myself in is I'm a great listener, and I'm definitely good at picking up on new things, and I feel like that's what I attribute best to this group. Is not only my style, my time, but I also am just an overall happy, good person, and I think I bring a lot of energy to the group. But enough about me. This is the group podcast, not the group podcast.
Yeah, Greg's just so great. In fact, why doesn't Greg just lead the band? Right? Like, let's give Greg the mic all the time. Give me a break.
That's part of it, though. You're a unit, and you're made up of a lot of different, unique parts. And that's what we're here to learn about, right?
Definitely.
But then, how about now? Then, after with a few shows under your belt, all playing together, what are kind of the challenges you face these days, or are they all?
Ooh, after Happy Valley Music Festival, which we just got to do, which was last minute,
very fun, yeah.
But I mean, it's a privilege to be able to open for people like Vanessa Collier and Dirty Dozen, which was a blast. So I would say, given that was our most recent gig, I would say that now it's about like different things about communication. Instead of communicating at all, it's more like, how far do we want to push things? How far do we want to push our audience? How many solos are we gonna inundate? Or how many times can we spontaneously bring a chorus in and keep it fresh and alive? And that's something that I really liked. And then the other thing that we've gotten good at about communicating is we were up on the stage and we were like, we need one more song. And Adam just turned around and said, come and get your love. And we were like, well, there it is. Like the fact that we're so much more confident in being able to just pull stuff out of our library on stage, even if it's not on our set list, which frankly, I'm in love with that. And just that spontaneity is something that I think, especially a lot of us did Penn State Jazz here. And as jazz musicians, we dig that.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're definitely at the point now where we can just kind of call a tune, like even a new tune, and we kind of just get it right away. So that's definitely something that was more difficult in our early rehearsals when we were trying to get sets together. But now it's just kind of about growing. That's the difficult part. Just we know we've gotten to a certain point where I think we can start growing, and we just have to figure out how to expand past what we're doing and keep getting better.
I could definitely say that one of the challenges, especially here, is a variety of live music venues. Unfortunately, like downtown, I mean, there are great venues, but we have like 3 at the moment that are at really like advocating for live music and like, paying whatever the performers need, So I think a part of it is just like yeah, the bar scene is a little bit limited.
It's a little bit of slim pickings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think you might expand at some point?
Absolutely.
That is definitely
Yeah,
the
it's
hope, yeah.
Yeah. I know that I would like to get us a couple shows in Philly sometime soon. I'm not opposed to Pittsburgh. I have family in Philly, so we all have a place to crash, which would be imperative given that it would probably be just as expensive. We'd probably spend all of the cash we made at the gig on gas and lodging and getting back.
Basic
So,
supplies, yeah.
So that's what I would really like to do. I really want to get some originals together. I know that we all write, but we just got Greg together. We really started gigging again properly this fall, and I want to get a single out by December, and that's my goal. I want us to really show our flex our creative muscles.
We want to shift some moons.
Shift in time.
Yeah, I agree that it's definitely like a transitionary moment. When you add any new band member, like as easy as it may sound to some people, like it's just like he's covering the same part or something. It's a whole different feel. So, yeah, we're definitely getting like used to a new player coming in and like a new energy. Yeah, exactly.
It's a great energy.
No, yeah.
We're funner than ever.
I was going to ask a little bit about that. Like, how has that transition been for y'all since it did start out as a 4-piece? And have any of you guys played in a 5-piece before? And
9 for
I
me.
did back in like high school.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, in my earlier years for sure. Yeah, I think that. Sorry,
No, you're
a little
good.
scattered. It's been a long day.
Nah.
Yeah, adding Max for me was a no-brainer. I mean, ever since I heard him play here at the school, I thought he was, very skilled and like came in with a very high level at a freshman year. So I was just like ready to get him in as soon as possible.
Hey,
But
Mr. Grad Assistant.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm talking to the GA now. Yeah, I like grabbing players who show a good level, good energy. It's all part of it. So they're perfect representations of what that is.
And he added like a new depth. Like Adam gave us so much like structure and stability when he auditioned. And I remember when he came in, Alex and I had probably auditioned like maybe 3 or 4 guitarists, and then there were some that were really promising, and then just like any audition, you find people who just won't fit. And then Adam came in. Oh, it was the greatest audition ever, Adam. Alex was like being kind of like highbrow and being like, okay, you played these 3 songs. Can you play a 12-bar blues? And Adam went, yeah, and then whipped out the best Johnny B. Good ever. and so when that happened, Alex and I made eye contact, and we were like, oh yes, this is it. So yeah, I would say we had so much structure thanks to Adam, and then when we tacked Max on, it was like going from like really solid, really good depth, and then Max just add all of this gloss, all of this veneer over what we already loved and thought was a good product, and Max just came in and gave it a little spice, if you will.
Definitely spiced it up.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask really quickly if adding another guitarist has allowed you to play songs that you normally wouldn't be.
Yes.
able to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I try to cover like horn parts or keyboard
Yeah.
parts that they couldn't really get with like a 4-piece with just one guitarist and with no keyboardist.
Yeah, I think that was a main thing of why Max was chosen to join the band too. Is just because like I thought his what's it called, like the impersonation of other parts was just really good. So it was kind of like on top of a very solid guitarist, we have somebody who can impersonate other parts. It was a no-brainer for sure.
What was the process of finding a drummer like?
Easy.
Easy than tough than easy.
Yeah, easy than tough than easy.
Yeah, it was actually way easier than finding any of these guys for sure. But it got tough after a while just because we try to find the right person for the group. And obviously when I started playing with Greg here at the school, it was also a no-brainer. Like he just had great rock chops. He had a great time. And I actually checked in with you even before you were even before the other drummer left. I was like, hey, I know he's heading out. I want you in ASAP. And
He reserved me, and I was ready.
reserved.
You were booked from this
He
date
was
forward.
booked.
What was that? Was that 4 Was it 6
That
months
was
in
6
advance?
months ago.
Yeah, that
or
was right
more
when we
by
came
this
back
point, yeah.
from what was it?
Spring break?
Thanksgiving break or something. We came
Ooh.
back and we
No,
went
it
to
was,
Pickles and
Yeah.
had
It
a
was,
cocktail and talked about it.
Yeah.
Alex said, "Hey man, we're enlisting you in 6 months."
Yep.
You drafted.
I said, I said, I'm ready, boss. Let me know.
Yeah. So.
Send me the set list.
So y'all mentioned
Definitely.
being part of the School of Music and playing jazz. How was that kind of influence to y'all in the way you play?
Definitely in our connection. Like, that's how I met
Yeah.
Alex. And when you learn to play jazz, it's a lot of like the cues and stuff like that we were mentioning earlier. But to an even more difficult level because you got to call like who's gonna solo for how long, when are gonna go back to the head, all that kind of stuff. So it really builds like every musician. You can play with anybody and kind of figure out how to make your way through tunes when after you play a lot of jazz.
Yeah, I think that jazz overall just has players expand their musicianship so much that for me, like when I know that someone's a solid jazz player, I automatically kind of know that they're a solid player in anything else they do. Now, of course, that you have to be a great jazz player to know, like to be a great player in other things. Ultimately, it just comes down to how much musicianship you have and how much you've expanded that.
If you can keep up in jazz, you can keep up at everywhere else. Is the lesson?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a very easy pointer for me to find players that can cover things quickly and like get things done. But at the same time, I mean, not everyone needs to have that background for me to say like, oh yeah, you're totally capable for this gig. So
Yeah, I come from nowhere near that background, which is, I mean, yeah, like for me, just like I started just playing really just rock and like a little bit of blues, and that was really it. And I always listen to like a lot of different types of music, but I just never, I don't know, I didn't really understand what jazz even was, to be honest. I just thought it seemed really hard and like really boring to play and like hard chord voicings for no reason. And I just liked, I don't know, I like picking up a guitar and just like banging on it.
riffing.
And that's kind of my approach, but I don't know.
And that's also why you're here.
So somehow it all fit together.
The blues and jazz aren't far.
Yeah, adding to that, to being like a jazz drummer growing up throughout middle school, high school, and here at Penn State playing in the jazz ensembles. As everybody knows here, I definitely like to hit hard and I play with a lot of power. But there was a time where I definitely have played with a lot less power and you have to be much more dynamic in the way that you're playing music too. I agree with Alex in the fact that a lot of great jazz musicians, you can put them in different settings. Like you can sit down and be like, hey, play this rock song, and usually they can just like adapt to it. Not saying that you need to have jazz in order to be a good musician, but it definitely teaches you a lot of discipline, and getting a few chairs thrown at your head is definitely a good way to scare the bejeebies out of you. But,
Getting that practice.
Definitely happens.
yeah.
Getting whiplashed.
Shout out Miles Teller.
Shout out J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
There you go.
Rushing or dragging.
I was going back. Y'all were leading me into my next few questions pretty nicely. I was going to ask. So then, how did you get into music in general? You know, were you inspired by any one artist, or were you sort of brought up on it? I've interviewed some people who like their parents are musicians, so they naturally get into it that way. Or was it just something you figured, okay, you know what, I'm just going to pick this up and we're gonna go for it. You know.
I'll start. I was raised for the majority of my preteens and teens in Texas. And for anybody who's a high school band nerd or choir nerd, Texas's choirs are intense. And so that's where I learned to sing and read music through, you know, being forced to go to all the Texas choir competitions, and like the stakes were on, and you're 13, and if you messed up, the whole it's over. It's all over. Your school won't get the award for that year. And that was, but that, you know, trial by fire, and I fell in love with it. And so by the time I got to high school, I was, you know, looking for voice lessons, and then someone was just like, you know, you like contemporary music, but you're pretty good at this classical thing. And I was like, you're right. And then I went and auditioned, and just ended up at Penn State. But you know, contemporary music, rock, and pop never really left my heart. I just wanted to explore classical, see what happened. And I found my band. That's what happened.
Yeah, my upbringing was actually kind of the opposite. So my dad is a professional piano player, so I always grew up very close to performing and playing music and everything related to that. It was a little weird because I started off on piano when I was around 6 or 7 years old, and it wasn't very clear where it was going, but I always practiced a lot, so I can play a decent amount of piano for sure. Around when I was 11 or 12, I switched schools and I got in with a crew that was very into playing rock, and they loved like playing rock to get girls, and I just followed along. So yeah, I started playing bass with them, and then I just fell in love with playing the instrument, and next thing you know, you're actually dating the vocalist instead of the groupies.
Oh, is that what we're announcing this now?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
Had to get it out of the way. But yeah, that was definitely like, and then here as an undergrad studied music. Now I'm doing grad school teaching jazz ensembles here, also in music. So I've just dedicated my life to it.
Nice. Yeah, it really quickly. It is funny that y'all are only the second, that's
right,
couple
yeah.
that I've couple in a band that
With
that's
a
awesome.
couple, yeah.
That's involved you.
That's involved me, yeah.
The band, yeah.
Always in the center of the drama.
We love Canary.
Yeah.
No, shout out Kat and Zach.
Shout out Ken and Zach.
They're awesome. But yeah, sorry, I interrupted the
Yeah,
flow.
I love a good story. Good love story is always nice.
Maybe you say
Again, similar to Alex in this situation, my dad is a drummer. I come from a very musically inclined family. My uncle is a professional trumpet player around the Philadelphia area. Like I said, my dad's a drummer. My mom played a little piano. I think she ran away from her piano teacher because she hated lessons, but it's okay. No, it stuck with me. I was always tapping on stuff as a kid. I always knew I wanted to play drums. I experimented with like trombone for a little while, was not very good at it. I tried a couple other things too. I can noodle around on a guitar, really don't know what I'm doing, but I definitely bring a good rhythmic aspect to it. Yeah, I started taking private lessons when I was about probably like 8 or 9, and then I took private lessons for at least 8-9 years after that, and specifically jazz. I went through the rudiment stuff, the stick control. Any of my drummers out there, that first 2 pages of stick control is like the Bible for drummers. But yeah, and now we're present day, and couldn't be happier. This is what I want to do with my life, and I'm finding any ins and outs that I can to get into the industry. So
Nice.
Yeah, when I was 8, I found a YouTube video called like "Kids React to the Beatles" or something like that. And I don't know. I remember that channel. It was just like, I know, it's so stupid, but I watched it and I was like, "Damn, this band's really cool." And then I got like super into them. And for 2 years, I was just listening to the Beatles. I knew every fact. I read like 10 books about them. So then I begged my parents for a guitar and eventually got one. And from then on, I just kind of started learning. I joined a program called School of Rock with a bunch of other kids my age, and that really helped because we kind of pushed each other a lot. Like, I'd learn a new song, they'd be like, "Max just learned that. Oh, I gotta learn this song now. It's harder." Then I'd be like, "You learned that? I gotta learn this." So like, through that we found a bunch of hard music and genres. So I started playing when I was 10. Since then, I've played every genre. I started with rock, went to like progressive rock for a while, jazz. Nowadays, I do a lot of classical. That's kind of, I think my career is going to be hopefully a classical guitar professor at college. But on the side, I do jazz and rock, like in this band. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people say they started with the Beatles, but that's literally just how I started. The best band.
So very different than everyone else in the
Adam,
band. So I didn't really play music at all growing up. I played cello for maybe 3 years through like middle school, and then quit because I hated the orchestra teacher.
Classic.
But yeah, I just music in that like rigid environment, like with school didn't work for me, which is kind of crazy that like to think like you guys all play music like for school. For me, like I don't know, so I didn't really start playing heavily until college, and like I just found like music was like my one escape from school, like the one thing that was I could do like outside of school. So I studied computer science here at Penn State, and it was a nice way to kind of take my mind off of that and to do something a lot different and to get a break for that. And then then COVID hit, and I don't know, I just had nothing to do, and I decided this is what I was going to do, and then just haven't stopped, and somehow I end up here.
Excellent.
It's a good somehow.
That's great somehow.
Yeah, so then really quickly then, what were some of the influences that you brought to the band?
I don't want to go first. I want to think.
Y'all could take a second. No.
Yeah.
You like our musical influences? Like
Yeah. In general, like I know you. The question works a little better with like people with when y'all do original music, but still, there's still I know there's folks that everybody tries to evoke, and there's people that y'all try to play in general because you really like their stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I can start. Like I said a little earlier, I definitely hit hard and I play with a lot of purpose and power. So I definitely look up to a lot of guys in like the metalcore metal genre. I just recently started, like, if you want to say recently, like within the last year and a half, like I started like really applying myself to like learning how to be a good metalcore drummer. I'm in the practice room 3 hours a day working on my double kick now. So I don't know, guys like the drummer for Architects, Dan Searle, I really love his just like the progressiveness of how he plays. Just like every new section of a song is different. Another band I'm really into right now is Polaris. They're a bunch of Australian guys. They're amazing. They just dropped a new album that I can't stop listening to. Their drummer is Dan Fernari. I just really look up to them in the fact that they play with a lot of purpose and power, yet everything they play is so unique. And I feel like I'm slowly integrating that into the Moonshifters. I feel like I'm definitely coming into my own as a drummer. So yeah.
You said metalcore, and it reminded me of when I got to go to Warped Tour, and that was a blast. But looping this all in is I love Hayley Williams. I think Paramore is like the peak example of that. You can have edge and you can be rock, and you can still appeal to radio, and you can still appeal to the masses. You can still be emo and still, not ward off anybody who's just really into, and bubblegum pop has like a negative connotation, but there's a reason that it sells, and the reason it's likable. So I've always liked Paramore because they're edgy, but they have pop sensibility, and so I try to bring a little Hayley Williams in every show.
Yeah, for me it's actually pretty straightforward. So I've had a huge influence with Jaco Pastorius has been one of my biggest influences overall, like on everything. I think that the bass is constantly like an instrument that's like, especially in rock, it's like, whatever, it's gonna get lost in the mix, whatever. So there's a lot of like jokes around it and like how there's just a lot of banter around it. But I really love Jaco's playing because of how melodic it is and how much attention there is to groove. So even when it's like maybe a more metalish song or a heavier song in general, like hard rock, like I don't know, anything that turns away from that groove, I always try to put that in because I know that that's what gets people moving, that's what gets people happy, that's what gets people in the vibe that we're trying to create. So that's definitely been one of mine.
Yeah, I definitely have. We talk about jazz a lot, but just because I play like only jazz nowadays, I definitely in my solos I'll throw in some like jazz looks back and be like, what the heck? How did that get in there? Like over like random rock songs, like, some bebop licks. But yeah, and again, just trying to the band get all the horn parts down, the little details that kind of you can't get with if you don't have like a keyboardist or like horn section. You can miss a lot of stuff. So I try to dig in and grab those little details.
We're just in the middle of Crazy Train, and all of a sudden we hear Charlie Parker coming out of Max's guitar.
So I grew up listening to a lot of like classic rock into more like the 90s, almost like the grunge stuff. I don't know. I just always loved I've always loved heavy guitar sounds. That's kind of what got me into playing guitar was like Metallica riffs and just how like the power and like energy that came through with the guitar. And I feel like kind of like what we were talking about before, that provides like a really good structure for like the rest of the band to build upon if you have like a solid it may not be like the most present in the mix, but I don't know. I like kind of having that that like solid layer or foundation that's under like the vocals and lead guitars.
Nice. Are there some songs that you guys are working on right now that you haven't debuted yet, or anything you guys really want to play in the future?
Well, we have a whole list that we're going to try to get to tonight. But overall, I think the main goal right now is start working on original music. I think that's definitely the next step after we wrap in the 3rd-hour set. So, which is almost completed. So we're just kind of aiming toward that. I know that there's a lot of people here with ideas that they're bringing in, and honestly, I just can't wait to start on that track.
Yeah, I would just like to plug that another objective of this band that I've had, besides it just being fun, because if it's not fun, I don't want it.
Of course.
Is that I felt like around State College we had just a lot of people. And you like it because it's good. It's like lots of 60s and 70s rock and early 80s. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to occupy a completely different space because I feel like while everybody loves Sweet Caroline, I also would like to hear some 90s. I'd like to hear some 2000s. And even though so much of the 2000s and 2010s is electronic, I mean, with Max, we can do synths and so much of like you wouldn't think you could do Lady Gaga, but you can. You wouldn't think you could do Rihanna, but we're doing Rihanna. And so come on out and you'll hear some music that you've probably listened to since you were toddling around, rather than something that your parents were listening to when they were toddling around. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We love classic rock here, but I mean we even have like 80s stuff in we have Come and Get Your Love from the 70s. Okay, we're not afraid of it. But I mean, I would say a good 90% of our set list is in the last 20 years. So
nice. Well, in terms of excuse me, in terms of original music, which sounds really exciting, have any of you guys worked in any bands that have gone in that direction before, or is that going to be kind of new territory for all of y'all?
Back in high school, I did a lot of that. I have a lot of stuff on Spotify as old that I don't like to show people because it's embarrassing. But, I've been writing songs since I was probably in 9th grade with bands about myself and all that. So, but I haven't done it in this context with a rock band, so that's what I'm excited to try out. It's going to be fun to try a new style.
Yeah, I've had a few projects too that I've gone into original music. Definitely Sidewinder is one that's heading that direction too. We just have we have our first original already ready to record, so we're looking forward to that. But nothing that, has really taken a direction that could escalate whatever was going on. So that's what I'm hoping with this group for sure, just to see where it goes.
Oh, I'm excited. We're going to find where it goes. And, I mean, right before you walked in, Adam was showing us a little something he was working on, and I was like, what do you mean you've just had this? So I'm excited to get working on that. And Greg?
Yeah, I've been in a couple groups that have had music out there. Specifically one last year I played with a group, still do, with the Gonzos. We played around State College bar scene up here. We actually just released like a mini demos album on Spotify, so a little rough around the edges. Nothing technically like professional, but it was definitely some great ideas that we had together, and we just wanted to put it out there, I think the best part of making original music is just being able to see what each member of the band does best and just honestly bringing it together,
Do you guys have any ideas of like what sort of vibe you're gonna go for when you start making original music, or is that something you are gonna discover later on, or not yet?
I feel like we have an idea of where it's headed, but definitely everybody's influence and everybody's preference is so different that it's going to be a very interesting fusion of everything that was spoken already. Yeah,
I'm so excited to find out. But once again, the objective is fun.
Yeah, writing with people is definitely interesting because when you write by yourself, you have an idea, but when you write with other people, they have different ears than you, so they'll hear a little riff or something like that you could never have imagined that just changes the song's direction and makes it like 10 times cooler. So
yeah, that's something that like I like to think about a lot, is that the smartest thing you can do as a musician is to write with another one. You know, like there's so much pride about like, oh, I wrote this entire thing by myself. And that's a beautiful thing and should be applauded and awarded to its fullest extent. But there is something, and it's a little romantic in the idea, but there is something so special about being able to take something that's yours and somebody being able to meet you right where you're at and say, hey, I see where this is going and I actually can see farther than you. So here's what I want to do with it. And then you just meld that together. And I think that we have that here already. We just got to get going.
Yes. That's really exciting. Just bouncing ideas off
Yeah.
people, and you just get better and better and better. It snowballs. And that's a really exciting feeling. I got just a handful more, but we're almost through here. I should ask probably closer to the start, but again, back towards live playing. Are there any songs that you have found to be like particularly exciting for the crowds? Anything that like just sometimes if you just need like a crowd pleaser then and there, what's gonna get people like that?
Taylor Swift.
Every time.
Yeah.
Mr. Brightside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swift is like,
Gimme 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 by
Yeah.
ABBA goes so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not really true to the recording there. We rock that up. But ABBA rocked. People just like paid attention to those really, really cute keyboards, but they went hard. And we just like to take it up just one, maybe a couple more notches.
Yeah.
In a bar.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And obviously, like, the Penn State bangers, like, never miss, like, Sweet Caroline. I mean, I cannot count how many times I've played that.
Freebird.
Here, and everybody loses it. Freebird. I mean, yeah, it's pretty out there.
Starting a set with Zombie Nation is always fun too.
Oh, yeah.
Gets the blood going.
For a game day. It's always good.
And then I guess before I start the whole wrap-up process and spiel and whatnot, do you guys, is there anything else you guys want to add in general? So, just something for the people at State College, Daily Collegian listeners, stuff about being in a band or about you personally, or just anything at all?
Support live music. I think that, post-COVID even, we got really comfortable in our own little worlds, and that's wonderful, but come out to see live music and just engage with the energy that, you love your radio, but have you ever sang with your radio, but it's really just 30 other people jamming out in front of a drummer and who else?
Yeah, I think that ultimately also, like, this is one of the few bands that is student-based. I think
Sure.
that, somewhat,
Adam, you were when you joined.
You were a student. So we get Penn State culture more than any of the other bands. I mean, I know some of them went to Penn State, some of them didn't, but we're definitely here to serve the crowd, to have a great time, and have them have a great time. So that's definitely head out to a show. Come and check us out.
Yeah, definitely. So what Hannah was saying, you can hear a video of a recording or a live, even like a studio album, a million times, and it's awesome. But there's nothing like going to a live show and just feeling that energy in person. Like, there's just something you can never understand if you're not actually there. Especially at a show, like, really high energy ones like the ones we do. Like, half the fun listening to music, half the fun is just experiencing it and feeling the energy. So you gotta come out and check it out and feel it for yourself.
Alex's thumping bass hitting your collarbone like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Greg's cymbals
Greg.
just crashing to the back of cafe, right? Yeah.
Yes, man.
That's what we're all about.
Hopefully I don't blow your ears out.
Alrighty, so in terms of finding y'all, we can find you on Instagram at Moonshifters Band, yes?
Yeah,
Definitely,
at
yeah.
the Moonshifters
And
Band.
Anywhere else?
Throughout there, just we have a Facebook page too, the Moonshifters. But definitely Instagram is our main focus on social media right now. We're developing a TikTok too, but for now, Instagram. Check it out. Stay tuned.
Yeah. And when you, when you'll release your original recordings, right? Well, I guess I should say when.
December's the goal.
Definitely
December,
when, yeah.
we want something out by December, end of the year, right? Get that.
That'll come on Spotify, SoundCloud?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. All
Bandcamp.
major music platforms, yep.
Sounds good. All right. So then, what's my usual concluding spiel? That's I always forget. I always say like, oh, I'm gonna write it down for the next episode, and I can read off, and then I forget. No, okay, so I guess we'll go. Thank you very much again.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You have all been so lovely to speak with, and I look forward to seeing any of your performances in the future. And to all you back home, thank you for listening. Welcome to the new season of Do You Make Music? I'm looking forward to talking to some great bands, and thank you for listening. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever. And I almost forgot. Have a great night. Ciao.